We have lots to talk about in today's video, including some further discussion around the Patrik Laine trade we saw earlier to the Montreal Canadiens. We're going to discuss some comments we heard from Laine and Ken Hughes and discuss that trade a little bit more in depth. Plus, are the Jackets done? The Jackets now have a lot of extra cap space, and a word from Don Waddell's that he may be looking to add to his roster. Plus, we have the trade talk around Predators goalie Yaroslav Askarov. We already knew he wanted a trade, but now Kevin Weeks is reporting he will not report to the American Hockey League, so they certainly have another situation there. We have some speculation around some PTOs. We have some front office changes with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. It's proven to be a really busy couple of days here around the NHL. Of course, we're still waiting on word from the Edmonton Oilers as I record this video on whether or not they're going to be matching the offer sheets from the St. Louis Blues. We had a couple of trades involving the Oilers yesterday. Laine has been moved, which we'll discuss a little bit further as well. So it's been a very, very big, busy time. Before we jump in to all the news and speculation around the NHL tonight, though, I just want to take a quick moment and give a shout out to somebody who's raising money for a really solid cause and charity here. So one of our followers, Larry, is going to be lacing up for the Hockey Helps Marathon, which benefits the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. All funds raised in this charity will be matched up to $25,000 as well. I know it's a very personal, cause to him and his family. I believe one of his sons is joining him as well and lacing up in that marathon as well. So certainly, we all, I think, can probably either ourselves or know somebody who's been touched by suicide. It's an unfortunate thing. There's lots of people have been impacted by it. We certainly would love to see more done to get people the help they need to avoid going down that road. As huge hockey fans and hopefully people that are interested in helping a great cause, if you're interested in helping the charity out and want to make a donation, there will be a pinned comment down below with a link in it where you can make that donation. And like I said, all funds matched up to $25,000. So certainly consider that if that's something that you're able to do. Now on to tonight's news. I want to talk further about the massive trade we saw earlier. Patrik Laine is now a Montreal Canadien, and of course I've already done a video on that, so we're not going to get into the whole analysis per se, but we are going to go a little bit deeper because we've gotten some more information since that's obviously been announced. We've heard from the teams involved, we've heard from the main player involved, so we've kind of learned a little bit here. Patrik Laine was asked why it wasn't working out in Columbus, why he wanted to move on. He kind of declined, didn't really want to get into it, which is really pretty fair expectation. I wouldn't have expected him to get into a whole lot of detail. Just said that it was time for him and the team to move on. But he did say he's ready to have a big year. He did not have to be convinced to go to Montreal. He said he's played in Canada before, obviously starting his career with the Winnipeg Jets, so he's used to the Canadian hockey market, has played in Montreal, of course, as a visitor. He says Montreal is arguably the biggest hockey market there is. He's always loved playing there, loved playing in Canada, and was totally excited to be joining the Montreal Canadiens. Says he's hoping basically to get back to his goal scoring ways. I'd love to come back, mention, scoring, 20, 30, 40, 50 goals, but really, express that, helping the team and winning be more important. So, obviously, I think Laine is it seems to me like he's been through a lot, but I think he's been through a lot, to help himself as well. And I think he's hoping for a big year. I think he'll fit in well with those Montreal Canadiens young players there. Be curious to see how they decide to make their lines. But, really, what better coach for somebody like Laine right now than Marty St. Louis? I think it's a great fit. They got a second-round pick as well for Jordan Harris. I mean, obviously, they had, not that they don't like Harris. Harris was a fine defenseman, and he may go on to play some solid top 4 minutes in the NHL for an extended time. But at the same time, you had a lot of guys similar to him. So I think you can afford to take this risk. Montreal was the only team as well, according to GM Don Waddell. They were the only team that was in the mix that was not requesting salary retention. So it was a no-brainer, really, for Waddell and the Jackets. We've talked at length about Laine going to Montreal. There was, like I said, a few times when I thought maybe it wasn't going to happen. And there's been Been some people, of course, that likes to leave comments and say how crazy of an idea that was and it was never going to happen and what have you. But I mean, the people that I seen talking about this, where the information was coming from, I had good faith in, and I thought it made sense to me. So obviously, there you go. I mean, it's sometimes the rumors we talk about turn into deals, and sometimes they don't. We're here just for entertainment purposes, really, to talk about what could happen, and sometimes they do come through, with legit, good, solid info, and it goes down pretty close to that. We've talked about Jordan Harris being the main piece that very well could be in there for a Laine trade or a Zegras trade, some of the top young players that they've been linked to over the course of this offseason. And, well, here you go. That's how it goes down. So Laine is a Montreal Canadian. I'd love to know what everybody thinks of that. Of course, down below here in the comment section, so let me know. He seems pretty stoked, didn't need convincing, is excited to be back in Canada playing in a big market. I just hope that with everything he's been through, that he is in a better place and doing better, because it's, if he struggles, it's a tough market to play in, as we know. Not just Montreal, but any of the Canadian cities. Canadians are, and I'm one of them, very passionate hockey fans, and you demand a lot, and you want to see your team win, and it's, it's not a place where you can fly under the radar and, avoid the media and all that. So I hope it works out for him, because I think Laine is a very talented player. It's just a matter of getting him in the right situation. And like I said, I think Marty St. Louis might be a great influence on him. So we'll see how it works out. I think it has great potential. And I think Montreal was in a position where they could be afforded to take that risk more than most teams around the NHL. They might have a gem. Maybe it doesn't work out. We'll have to wait and see. But I'd love to know what everybody thinks in the comment section. As I mentioned as well, lots of changes announced today to the Pittsburgh Penguin front office. Kyle Dubas has been very busy. We're not going to go through all of them because there's a really long list, and a lot of them are just not names that most of us would be familiar with. Several changes to their amateur and pro scouting teams, obviously in their training department, head athletic therapist, things like that. But some names that you would be familiar with. Jason Spezza, of course, has been working with Dubas as an assistant GM. He's got some additional duties added to his responsibility now. So not only is he an AGM of the Pittsburgh Penguins, but he's now the GM of their American Hockey League team, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. So he's the GM for that. Amanda Kessel, who's been working with the team as well, takes on a new role as being the assistant general manager for the AHL team. So she'll work directly under Spezza for that. She's also going to be the manager of minor league operations. Amanda Kessel, in case you're unfamiliar as well, was drafted this past year in the PWHL. There was some speculation she was going to make a comeback and play herself. She was drafted by the Montreal club in the PWHL, and I think there was speculation she really only wanted to play in Boston, which would have worked a lot better for her from her personal life. And when that didn't happen, and of course the Penguins offering her promotion here, so she's going to remain in retirement and continue working with Pittsburgh, and won't be taking a break from that to go back to her playing days. Another addition as well, they added Jonathan Ehrlichman, who's now the Vice President of Hockey Research, Development, and Strategy. So, like I said, a lot of the other names between scouting, training department, athletic therapists, all that has been changed as well. It's on the Penguins website, but we won't go through all those names since not everybody is familiar with all those behind-the-scenes type of jobs. A couple of rumors around PTOs and some broadcasting stuff. The Boston Bruins are reportedly considering bringing in a couple of extra forwards on PTOs that could lead to contracts, and that's former Bruin, former Jets captain, most recently a New York Ranger, Blake Wheeler. Wheeler remains unsigned. Did come back and play at the end of the run there with the Rangers last year. Endured a pretty gruesome injury, but overcame it and was ready to go towards the end of it. But unfortunately, the Rangers season didn't allow him to go too much further, but he's looking for work still. We'll see if he makes a return to Boston, where he started his career. Of course, he wasn't drafted there, but that's where he played his first games. Kyler Yamamoto, former Edmonton Oilers, Seattle Kraken, is the other player that apparently is being considered by the Boston Bruins for a PTO. I'm not sure what's going on with James Van Riemsdyk. I seen a couple days ago that maybe they'd go back, bring him in on a PTO, but he wasn't mentioned in the latest intel, so I'm not really sure if what's going on with JVR at this point. But I suspect he'll land somewhere as long as he wants to continue playing. We'll see. And, of course, we know that Amazon purchased the rights to the Monday night games from Rogers in Canada for the upcoming season. There's been a lot of speculation on what their broadcast team is going to be like. We had seen, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, that it was supposed to be John Forsland was going to be the main play-by-play person there, which is great news. He's really good at his job. But today we found out more speculation that joining him to make up the broadcast team will be former Islander Thomas Hickey and Jody Shelley, of course, as well. So sounds like a pretty good, decent broadcast team. We'll see how things go. I suspect Shelley will probably be maybe between the benches. Hickey will probably be a studio analyst. I'm not sure exactly what everybody's role is going to be, but based on what they've done before, something along those lines. Now, of course, back to Laine in a second here, the connection, I guess it's not really about Laine, but just the spin-off of the Laine trade is the Columbus Blue Jackets now have a lot of extra cap space. They just freed up $8.7 million. They only brought back Jordan Harris, who's on a much cheaper contract. They have a lot more extra cap space. And according to Blue Jackets beat writer Aaron Portzline of The Athletic, he's saying that Don Waddell basically started getting calls almost instantly after the Laine trade was announced from other GMs looking to get themselves out of some cap trouble and offload some contracts. So according to what he's reporting, Waddell does have some interest. Obviously, I don't know that he's looking to take players that are not going to fit or not, obviously there's probably going to be incentives involved. But he did say he would be interested to add to the forward group for the right player to put into the mix. So, not a given that it happens, but they have the space. If they can get a player that they like or that comes with low risk, maybe it's a 1-year contract or something that they don't, think is too risky, that it could fit with their group, and they can get a decent incentive as well, then why not, weaponize your space? So, don't be surprised if the Columbus Blue Jackets continue to be busy. I know from what we've heard and what we've seen, it's kind of funny because obviously after July 1st was a very, very, very busy day. Usually free agency drags out. You get a lot of the big names on the first, but usually that first week there's a decent amount, a handful of signings every day. And it didn't really happen this way this year. And a lot of the trade activity took place the few days leading to the draft, even in some cases a bit early, Markstrom and Allmark and some of these guys moved early. And then all of a sudden, middle of July, everything just kind of hit a wall and then everything really slowed down. We've had little pockets of, more important news pop up here and there, some signings because there's still arbitration and this and that. And then August is usually tougher to come up with enough news to talk about every day. But the last few days has been phenomenal for people like me who obviously, do daily videos on all the news. So it's been great to see. And, of course, we still have the offer sheets for Edmonton. There's more to come. So it's going to probably be a decent week that way for news, which is great for August. But Columbus, we could see some more trades with them. Don't be shocked if a team offloads a contract, at least one anyways, to the Blue Jackets in the coming days, looking to create some more cap flexibility. And, of course, the bigger story of the day started with Kevin Weeks reporting that, which we kind of already knew a little bit, but he's reporting some big significant updates here on the Yaroslav Askarov situation with Nashville, that Yaroslav Askarov is refusing to report and play in the American Hockey League this year. He already, I think, was pretty... it was already known that the Predators were likely going to have to move him. I don't think until now that the trade request was official. I think it was more like, hey, you might want to consider moving me. The most confusing of all of this is Askarov was a first-round pick of this team. He's put in his time. He may not be absolutely lighting up the American Hockey League, but he's done well. In my opinion, he absolutely deserves an NHL shot. I think he does anyways. The fact that they decided to extend UC Saros, I get that. Saros is still young enough and playing well enough as one of the league's top goalies that you're comfortable with him. You add all these other pieces. You don't want to take a chance on an unproven goalie being your starter when you're going to be that aggressive. Like, look how aggressive they were. We didn't really know just how aggressive Nashville was going to be going into the offseason. You know, adding Brady Shea, Jonathan Marchessault, Steven Stamkos. Like, it's been a complete revamp there. Barry Trotz was just, you know, gunslinging everywhere. He's throwing everybody the heat here and getting these contracts done like a madman out there. Like, it's been a complete, you know, shocking change in Nashville. I don't think anybody really seen that coming. So the fact that they were signing Saros, which has been a big part of the speculation for quite some time that they were going to sign him, a lot of people just didn't really completely understand it, but now it makes more sense. But why wouldn't they at least give Askarov the opportunity to be the backup? They brought in Scott Wedgwood and said, now, no disrespect to Scott Wedgwood, he's been a pretty decent backup goalie in his career. He's got lots of experience now at the pro level between AHL, NHL. He's played the last couple of years in Dallas. Like, he's kind of, you know, created a niche for himself as being a pretty decent backup goalie. And somebody who can be reliable. He was obviously able to request a decent raise, which Dallas didn't want to go that high, so they went in a new direction. He comes over to Nashville, gets a little bit more money than what Dallas was offering him, still gets to play on a really good team, same division. You know, fine and dandy. Like, if it wasn't for Askarov, I wouldn't even think twice. But why would they not want to give themselves even a little bit more cap flexibility, go with Askarov as the backup, let him play 25, 30 games this year and really test them? You could have probably made a move throughout the year for a backup goalie if it was really failing miserably. I'm just really surprised on their reluctance to really give him any opportunity. Because, I mean, based on what they signed Wedgwood for, I don't see them really giving him a shot. Now, Barry Trotz has kind of replied back here to this speculation saying that he expects Askarov to show up the training camp and to compete for a job. Like, okay, sure, but the writing's on the wall. You're not going to just give away a contract with Wedgwood or sign him as a UFA and then through training camp bury him in the minors after signing him to a multi-year deal. It just makes no sense. So you know, do they carry three goalies? Maybe, but even then, that's not good for anybody either. It's just a really weird scenario. So the teams that we're hearing right now, I've seen one speculation about Carolina. I've heard San Jose. I've heard a little bit about Seattle, but I know the one article I've seen, and I don't think it was really linked to any strong intel. I think it was just an opinion based saying that, you know, a team like Seattle, Barry Trotz is probably going to ask for a guy like Shane Wright. I'm like, well, you know what? He might, because Askarov is a first-round pick. They have made it clear they do not want a goalie back. They want a pretty good prospect player that plays a different position is what the asking price is, and they're probably going to want somebody that's like a first-round pick type pedigree. So, yeah, Shane Wright fits that bill. There's probably might be some other names on that roster that might intrigue Trotz, but, yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, now as far as San Jose or Carolina goes, I think Carolina would have to move Freddie Anderson. Be a spinoff effect. They'd probably go with Askarov and Kochetkov. I'm not sure what they would do with Anderson, but there is that possibility. I'm not sure what the offer there would be. But they do have some interesting pieces there. They do have some pretty good prospects in Carolina. Whether it be, I don't know if they'd offer like either Bradley Nadeau or Jackson Blake. I think those two guys might be off limits. I know one of their D-men there that they really like is probably not something that they want to move either. I'm not sure what they would offer, but they do have some good prospects in Carolina. San Jose's starting to stockpile some as well. So again, I'm not sure what the offers are going to be. We really haven't heard much that way. But yeah, it sounds like Nashville's got a problem on their hands, and he's probably not reporting if he's not moved. So if I'm Barry Trotz, I would probably try to get that done. Unfortunately for Nashville, when these kind of things go public, it does hurt your leverage. It does hurt your trading from a place of weakness in a sense. But at the same time, if they really want to play hardball here, They could suspend them. Like, there's other things they can do until they get an offer they really like. They're not going to give him away, that's for sure, because this guy has potential to be really good for another team for many, many years. So you got to be careful. So let me know what you think. Where's Askarov going to go? Let me know your thoughts on the Laine trade. Let me know your thoughts on the PTOs. What's Columbus going to do? Some bad contracts that might end up there. And of course, like I said in the very beginning of the opener, there's a great charity that we're going to pin down in a pinned comment. If you're interested and that's something you want to support, the link is there. So feel free to check that out. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.